Welcome to day 10 of the yoga challenge. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining me each day for this practice. This challenge is something that's really close to my heart, and this challenge connects the spiritual journey of the practice with the yoga poses. So each day on the practice, I'm encouraging you to reflect on some of the deeper philosophical principles that become evident as you stay committed to the practice over many years. Now, these are some things that aren't necessarily evident from the time you take your first class. For example, when you first start practicing yoga, particularly if you're brand new to the practice, it can just be a lot to kind of get through the practice. You may feel lost, intimidated, sore, confused, and generally like a mess. Anyhow, I'm speaking from personal experience because that's how I felt in my first yoga class. But what also happened in that very first class is at the end, there was a feeling unlike anything I'd known in my life up until then. There was a feeling that I can only describe as peace and happiness. A true sense of happiness kind of underneath the thinking mind that I hadn't really known was even possible until I started to practice yoga. Over many years, or I would even say 2 decades of practice. Remember, I've been practicing now for over 20 years. The connection between the work that you put in on the yoga mat and those more subtle philosophical states of peace and happiness have become more and more evident to me. So this challenge is perfectly designed to help make those mysterious connections of the practice more accessible for you. And it's that state of mind that understands the connection between body and mind that is kind of really the essence of what the wisdom of yoga has to teach. There are so many times in my life that I've engaged in what I've talked about before as what's called someday when thinking. And this is the false equivalence of happiness with the accumulation of material possessions, whether those material possessions are yoga poses or whether those material possessions are objects like clothes or cars or houses or apartments, or some people also associate this kind of external happiness quest for experiences. So some people feel only happy when they're on some new crazy adventure, or some other people think that happiness lies, and this is a big one, in romantic relationships. So much of human life is spent desiring, and it's this notion that desiring something external from yourself can make you happy. And this is this idea again of someday when thinking. A lot of people think someday when I finally have $1 million in the bank, I'll be happy. Someday when I finally get that big house that I've been dreaming of my whole life, I'll be happy. Someday when I finally meet my Prince Charming or my Princess Charming or my non-gendered charming royal person, then I'll finally be happy. But the actuality is that someday when never happens. You meet this amazing being that you think is going to complete you, and what you find out is that you're actually still the same person. You just have another being that's in your life. You think the big house is going to make you happy, but then you sit there and then you realize you have to clean it. You think that having $1 million is going to make you happy, but then you immediately begin to fear if someone's going to steal your $1 million, or you worry about getting another $1 million. So in other words, the goalposts of happiness constantly get moved and pushed because happiness does not lie in any external circumstance. Unfortunately, the kind of paradigm of the world as it exists right now teaches you to believe in the culture of more, the idea that accumulation, whether it's experiences, material possessions, romantic partners, or anything external from yourself, will make you happy. However, happiness, according to the yoga practice, comes from within. It emanates forth as a state of the heart that is expressed through contentment, through peace, through a deeper sense of knowingness. And happiness, rather than being something that you seek external, is actually understood to be a natural quality of the resting state of mind. If you remove attachment and clinging to desires, and if you remove aversion from difficulty and obstacles, then happiness can be available to you right now. Right now. The way the yoga practice teaches you this is through this very kind of mysterious and paradoxical method of giving you the laboratory of yoga asana. Here you are in the yoga asana world, and so many students, myself included, think that when they finally achieve all these crazy looking advanced poses, they'll be happy. So many people think that happiness and peace are going to exist miraculously when you finally achieve certain yoga poses. It couldn't be further from the truth. The actuality of the practice is that you need to learn, and you ideally are practicing being happy where you are. Being happy where you are. Let happiness be an expression of where you are and who you are, so that you can be happy when you're doing a headstand, and you can be happy when you're falling out of a headstand, and you can be happy when your legs are behind your head, and you can also be happy when, thank goodness, your legs are not behind your head anymore. And the notion here is that happiness lies within. Any source of external happiness falls under the rule of impermanence. It arises and it passes away. It comes and it goes. If your happiness is dictated by external circumstances, unfortunately, your happiness will always be temporary, fleeting, fluctuating, like the weather. Some days sunny, some days cloudy. But if your happiness is located in the inner realm, you can be happy for no reason at all. And this is something really, really interesting. The opposite of someday thinking is actually been verified by contemporary psychology studies in the field called positive psychology. There are so many studies done now, and if you haven't read any of them, you can find some wonderful books. I think there's one called The Happiness Equation, and numerous other books from the realm of, from the discipline of positive psychology. And the most recent discoveries actually show that it's the complete opposite of what we think. We think that we're going to be happy when we achieve success. However, that's not the case. If you're miserable on your journey to success, guess what happens when you get the success? You are more miserable. So success begins to be an amplifier of your natural state of being, or your resting state of being, rather. So the happiness studies show that people who start off their journeys to success happier, when they get success, become, get this, more happy. The second interesting thing from the field of positive psychology shows that happy people actually achieve more success. So this means that if you start your journey with a sense of wholeness and completion, the idea that you are complete and whole exactly as you are, you decide to get happy right now with whatever circumstance you're facing, you have an increased likelihood of actually achieving the results that you think you're going to achieve through struggle and strife. So think about that. If you become happy right now, studies show that you'll be more effective, you'll make better decisions, and you'll actually achieve the success that you want faster. And probably the best news of that is then when you do achieve that success, whether it's a headstand, a handstand, $1 million, a big house, writing a book, opening a restaurant, following your dreams, going to college, whatever your dream is. If you start off with the feeling of happiness and wholeness from the beginning, when you're finally engaged in that journey, achieving the success that you want on the top of the mountain of whatever you dream, you'll find that your success is multiplied. But if you start off with misery, assuming that climbing that mountain will fill you up from the inside, then unfortunately, usually what happens is when you get to the top of the mountain, the goalpost just shifted and you never find happiness. Instead, your achievements might feel hollow. You may feel almost as though there's a crisis that comes when you reach those soaring heights, because no soaring height will ever make you complete. Either you accept the idea that you've been created whole and complete as you are, or no matter what you do, you'll be searching desperately for that sense of wholeness, for that sense of connection. So this is the teaching of yoga. Learn to be happy exactly where you are. Your hips are tight. Accept it. Be happy. Your hips are tight. You can bind your hands in a pose. You cannot bind your hand in a pose. Doesn't matter. Accept it. Learn to be happy exactly where you are. This cheerful disposition of the yogi's mind is called in Sanskrit saumanasya. And saumanasya is the evidence of long-term practice. If you're only happy when everything goes your way, your happiness is fleeting. If you're happy for no reason at all, then your happiness is rooted deep within, and you'll carry it with you in every life circumstance. So for today, I want you to close your eyes, bring your attention to the inner world. Notice your breath. Notice the feeling inside the body. And notice the quality of your mind and your emotions. From here, establishing a baseline link into the inner world, ask yourself this question. Did I wake up this morning and think about my problems? Or did I wake up this morning and think about how happy I was? Don't worry if you answered problems. You're like majority of people on the earth right now. So now, here's your chance to practice happiness from within. Can I choose in this moment to be happy for no reason at all? Feel it in the heart. I am happy for no reason at all. This is my true nature, underneath the thoughts, underneath the problems. There is a sense of wholeness, of beingness, and a resting state of the mind which is happy and free. And then gently say the words, may I be happy. May all beings be happy. Then allow yourself a deeper breath and open the eyes. You may notice that there was a little smile that seemed to naturally come. There's no reason for that, right? It's just almost like a natural state of the mind. So call that up into question. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, I have a little challenge for you. See if you can think of one thing that makes you happy as your very first thought upon waking up. And notice how that seems to change the whole atmosphere and vibration of your whole day. Now remember that if you want to join the yoga poses and practice full-length, all-new practice with me designed for all levels, sign up on omstars.com and you get a free month of practice, which will get you access to these all-new 31 classes, the Yoga Is Challenge, as well as access to our full library of over 2,000 yoga lifestyle and yoga classes. OmStars is my dream, and it makes me happy every time I talk to you about it, because I know that there's so many people all over the world who are joining this family of yogis to make the world a better place. When you practice yoga and you become happy, your vibration of happiness emanates outward from you, and your world becomes a happier and more peaceful place. Thanks so much for joining the challenge, everyone. I hope you feel that little bit happier, that little bit more peaceful, and that you're inspired to practice every day. Namaste.